Hello everyone, Jai Hind and welcome to the platform of StudyIQ IS once again, and my name is Bhanwar Singh. I'm ex-NDA 115th course and qualified civil services in 2012. And in this video, we'll be talking about Mission Drishti. Yes, Drishti, which means, or it is a Hindi word that means vision. So this is the India's new eye that is in the sky, and this pertains to the launch of the OptoSAR X satellite that had been launched by GalaxEye space. It has recently launched the Mission Drishti aboard the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Now, this marks India's largest privately developed Earth observation satellite because this satellite weighs 190 kilograms. Also, it is the first satellite, very important that it is the first satellite globally that integrates the OptoSAR or OptoSAR that combines two of the different techniques, optical as well as SAR sensors on the single platform. And this is a significant milestone for the Atmanirbhar Bharat in the strategic space sector as well. Now, when it comes to the technology that had been used, so this is OptoSAR technology which bridges the information gap between two of the technologies, SAR, that is the synthetic aperture radar. This technology provides all-weather day and night imaging by penetrating the cloud as well as the smoke as well. When it comes to the optical imaging, it delivers the high-resolution, color-accurate imagery for the visual content. Now, over here, the fusion strategy was adopted where both SAR as well as optical imaging, they were merged, and ultimately there is so that we can create the analysis ready data or ARD that could be created using or by merging both of the techniques that is there. So this eliminates the need of the multiple satellites constellations to get a single complete picture, and that is why this is very, very important. Now, when it comes to both these of the technologies which had been used, so we have optical or we have the MSI technique or technology. All right, so when it comes to optical or MSI, it is passive and ultimately it can only work during the day because it uses the sunlight, or it can only imagine during the daytime. All right, and also when it comes to the obstruction, so it cannot penetrate the clouds, and even during the night, this is of no use. But at the same time, when it comes to the images, they are very, they are very highly scaled and intuitive, and ultimately it uses the spectral reflectance. And when it comes to the resolution, it is just 1.2 to 3.6 meters. All right, when it comes to SAR, so SAR uses the microwave wavelength, and thereby it can penetrate the complete, clouds, and it can also do imaging in the night as well. So it is all weather and day and night imaging technique, that is synthetic aperture radar or SAR. And there is, when it comes to the human interpretability, it is low because the pictures are black and white and therefore they are abstract. All right, the pictures which are generated, they are black and white pictures which are generated. All right, roughness and moisture are the sensitivity on the surface, and again, the resolution is the same as of the optical or MSI technique. Now, what happens in the OptoSAR? In OptoSAR, there is a hybrid technology that had been used, merging both the technologies of SAR and optical imaging, and over here it will be high imaging, or the obstruction tolerance will be very high. This will be all weather imaging that will be done with both the combination of optical as well as SAR or synthetic aperture radar. It will be, or there will be fused clarity, fused structural spectral, and when it comes to the resolution as well, it will be just 1.8 meters using the fused structure model. So there is a data fusion engine that had been developed indigenously by IIT Madras. All right. So when it comes to GalaxEye is where we have the pass outs of the IIT Madras. They are basically the force behind the GalaxEye, and ultimately GalaxEye utilizes the proprietary sensor fusion engine that had been developed over 5 years of research and development. It uses also artificial intelligence so that it can align the SAR pulses with the optical pixels in the real time, and thereby it also reduces the data latency from hours to minutes, which is critical for the dynamic battlefield and for the disaster management as well. Now, this satellite had been positioned in the low Earth orbit or LEO orbit, approximately about 500 kilometers, to ensure that there is high spatial resolution. There is also cost-effective yet powerful small satellite form factor which had been used to compete with the institutional giants, and the capability to track changes as small as a few centimeter in this critical infrastructure, and that is again, it is very important for India for numerous things. The first thing is the national security dimension in which this satellite will help. There will be sovereign border monitoring where the border surveillance will increase to 24/7 monitoring of the LAC, that is line of actual control, and LOC, that is line of control, regardless of the fog or snow conditions. There will also be maritime domain awareness because we will be able to detect the dark vessels in the Indian Ocean region. And there will be real-time detection of the bunkers of the equipment movement in difficult terrain as well. And also, it is very important that this is the indigenous satellite, so this will reduce the dependence on the foreign commercial vendors for the sensitive defense imagery, and that is why this satellite is very important for India. But it is not just the border movement or the border management that could be seen through this satellite. Alright, this satellite has multi-sectoral application because it will be helpful in precision agriculture, where we will be able to do the proper crop health analysis, the moisture detection, as well as the acreage estimation even during the time of the cloudy monsoons. The satellite will also help us in the disaster management because it will let us assess the flood extent through the clouds and managing the forest fire containment through smoke as well, because this satellite, it can see through the smoke as well. There could be the infrastructure monitoring as well because we'll be able to track the programs of national highways, bridges and industrial corridors, and ultimately this will add a significant eye to the PM Gati Shakti as well. So over here, when it comes to the transformation of the space sector, when it comes to the India, so this transformation began in the earnest with the 2020 space reforms that were introduced. The 2020 space reforms, they have dismantled the state monopoly in the space exploration that was there with the ISRO itself. So there is, in 2020, there was 3-pillar institutional architecture that was introduced. The first was that the ISRO, that is Indian Space Research Organization, it transitioned towards the advanced research and development and even the deep space missions. There is the NSIL or the New Space India Limited that had assumed the commercial responsibilities in the space sector, and also the InSpace or the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center was set up. Now, InSpace, it acted as, or it still acts as, the single window regulator when it comes to the space sector in India. So you can see that what had happened in the space sector just after the reopening of the space sector to the private players. The skies were open for the private players. InSpace was set up or established in 2020 as single window agency for the private space participation. And you can see that in 2014, there was just one of the startup in the space sector, and in 2025, it jumped to more than 320. At the same time, when it comes to the space budget, India's space budget also increased tremendously to 3 times. You can see that in 2013-14, it was just 5,600 crore, and it jumped 3 times, nearly 3 times to 13,400 crore in 2025-26. Also, when it comes to the space policy, so Indian space policy was drafted in 2023, and it defines the clear roles of the ISRO, InSpace and NSIL and even the private players. Also, it promotes the global collaboration, innovation and the competitive ecosystem, and ultimately the target is that we should have 9% share of the global space economy by 2030. There was Make in India perspective or Atmanirbhar Bharat that was introduced through the various programs and policies in the space sector, and you will see that there is 100% satellite, 100% FDI that is permitted in the satellite components and even in systems manufacturing. There is 74% FDI under the automatic route, where there is no permission that is needed for the satellite manufacturing and for data products as well. And there is 49% FDI under the automatic route for the launch vehicles as well as for the spaceports that had been introduced. Also, when it comes to the startup ecosystem, you will see that there had been a venture capital push, and 1,000 crore venture capital fund was there to promote the startups in the space sector, and ultimately this had led to the surge in jobs as well as innovation through the public-private partnership models. When it comes to the global partnerships, so that have also deepened after 2020, and we have partnerships with US, we have NISAR satellite, all right, with France as well, with the Trishna, with Japan for the Lupex, and for ESA for Proba 3 as well. All right, there had been integration with the global supply chains and tech transfers, and Starlink expanded broadband reach that aligns with the Digital India program also. There had been 433 foreign satellites which were launched by India just in 2025, and that shows the surging sector that we have in the space industry. Now, this space is no longer just a scientific frontier, but it is now the cornerstone of the national security as well as economic resilience as well. Now, the way forward is that the public-private synergy should be tapped upon. We should integrate the private data feeds into the ISRO's Bhuvan portal. That is what we can do in the future. At the same time, we should also create a national repository for the analysis-ready data as well. India as the world's hub for the cost-effective multi-sector or sensor imagery exports, that should be the global ambition for the India's space sector. So that is all in today's session. I hope that now you know all about the Mission Drishti or the Project Drishti. Alright, so that would be all, but at the same time, before ending, let me tell you that if you are preparing for the civil services for 2027 or 2028, so we know that public administration is a lucrative optional that you can achieve the mastery within very short duration of time, and the resources are also very limited. Alright, so just with limited resources, within a very short span of time, you can master the complete public administration, and I am starting off with the optional classes for this right from 15th of May. So you can enroll into the batch by using my code, that is BRS Live, for getting the maximum discount that you will get. Also, there is resolution P2I, that is the resolution P2I. This is the foundation course for the GS for 2027 and for 2028 as well. So you can enroll into these GS Foundation batches as well, and ultimately for the highest discount, use the code BRS Live. So that would be all. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me over here. And also, before ending the session, do not forget to like, share, as well as subscribe to our channel so that you do not miss any of the important updates in the future. So that would be all. Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care and Jai Hind.